Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Kyle Alexander.
And I'm Michelle Lee.
And this is the KM Book Club. What episode we on, baby?
This is episode 4. In this episode, we are reviewing, like we told y'all in the last episode. Make sure you go watch that if y'all didn't watch it yet. Jump by Steve Harvey. You ain't got nothing to say?
Nope.
What's wrong with you?
I don't have anything to say. I'm just excited.
Oh, I guess you're already giving your rating.
Jump, the Mac Daddy make it. That's what is on my mind. You didn't want me to do that. That's why I sat there. Y'all here judging me. Don't judge me. Productions.
What we're doing here is a review of the books that we have read, and we're just giving you guys the highlights, the lowlights, the takeaways, what we thought. We're also giving you guys a rating system, what resonated with us, what didn't resonate, what we liked, what we didn't like, and just let you know what we thought of the book. So if
why you should read it.
And why you should read it, or should pass.
Should not read it, yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go to the next book.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to do the rating system. So, number 1 being...
Dry.
Can I get some water? Number 2 being...
Barely.
Burly, meaning we barely got through that.
Barely would have made it.
Number 3 being what?
Basic cable.
I mean, it was basic.
Boring.
It was not boring. It was average.
Average. Life C student.
Somebody gotta be average.
Medium. Somebody gotta work at Burger King. That's what my dad always used to say. Shout out to everybody that works at Burger King.
Thank you. You have it your way, boo. But number 4 being...
Lucked up on a real one.
Number 5 being... Change your life! That book is a life changer. And y'all need to go pick it up yesterday.
Now.
So, we just gonna go ahead and jump into it.
Right,
Let's
go.
The reason why we chose this book...
Jump.
is one, I saw it in BJ's. Shout out to BJ's.
I thought you had like a deep...
Okay, so a few years back, Steve Harvey had released this video on YouTube that I saw. And it was him in a car, and he was talking about the fact that... No, yours is different.
Yeah, it is.
He was talking about how you have to be willing to jump for... what you love, your passion, your aspiration. You have to work for it. You have to earn what you love to do. There might be some bumps and bruises along the way, but if you're not willing to fly, how will you ever know what you're capable of doing and what God's capable of doing in your life? This wasn't so much of a spiritual Christian book, as much as it was like a purpose,
practical,
goal-driven, motivational, inspirational book. What was the reason?
So Steve Harvey is the host of Family Feud, and he at the end of Family Feud, he was talking about jumping before this book came out, and he was saying how to be successful, how he got to where he was, and it was like a really like an emotional moment for him because he's like tearing up, and he's pretty much telling his story, like how he got from where he was. He was like living out of his car in like on the Chitlin circuit doing comedy club shows to not only a TV show but a talk show and then movies and being a host of Family Feud and hosting the Miss America pageant and how his radio show and how his life just went from one level and went up like 1,000 times because he wasn't afraid to jump. And I thought that was dope, and that really resonated with me because it's like we both have our purpose that we're in the middle of like working out and working towards our goals and our dreams, and it's like we wanted to read this book because I wanted to hear what made him jump and what happened after he jumped, because he talked about, you know, on that the YouTube video or the Facebook video I saw, sometimes when you jump you'll fall, hit the bumps in the road, fall on the rocks before you find out you have like these wings and you can take off and fly, but you'll never know if you can fly if you never jump. So that was why we dove into this book and why we read this book.
Expectation versus reality. My expectation of the book was, honestly speaking, a lot higher because of the video that I saw and because of where I was in my stage of life. I thought that this book was going to just be up there and stay up there. There was like a lot of ups and downs. It was a slight roller coaster of a book for me. Reality, I was like, it had some good points and some slow points. How about you?
My expectation was sky high. I love Steve Harvey. I love Mr. Hightower. So if you've never seen the Mr. Hightower show, you gotta like go back. The Steve Harvey. Well, he was Mr. Hightower on the show. That was classic Steve. And then the Family Feud was funny. And then I listened to the radio show. Like, I was a Steve Harvey fan. I respected his come up. I respected the grind that he showed to get where he's got.
Plus he the buzz.
Okay.
Shout out to the bro.
Right. Shout out to the brothers. James Lee, what up? That made me like, yo, this is gonna be like dope. He's gonna come through. It's gonna be like amazing, life changing. So I'm looking to read it just based off of that and being a fan of Steve Harvey. The reality was just like, you know, it was cool. There were points. There were definite moments. There were definite points that you pulled from, that you took away from, and you're like, okay, I see what Steve Harvey's trying to do here. I see how he bossed his life like all the way up. Like I see how he did that based on the book and the tips and advice he gave. But my expectation for this, like 1 out of 10, was probably like a 15, and it didn't give me that.
What were your highlights and lowlights?
So highlights, the stories were dope. The stories talked about what to settle for, what not to settle for, what to expect, what not to expect. Everybody's familiar with Steve Harvey and the Miss America pageant and how he walked through that really difficult incident in time.
Which he talks about.
And he talks about it in the book. He talks about the Steve Harvey show. He talks about living in his car. So some of those were the highlights for me, because you listen to how he overcame his struggles. He even talks about being married and divorced, and then how the woman Marjorie that he's married to now completely changed his life, and how jumping is coincided with having that right person in your life, because he talks about how he wanted to jump before in other relationships and wasn't able to because of the person he had next to him. And that resonated with me as well. Just knowing about like my goals and my dreams, and then having you by my side, it's like you have like the perfect person that will allow you to jump and then fly.
Lowlights?
Some parts dragged. Some parts were really repetitive. Some parts didn't sound like him. Honestly, it sounded like somebody else trying to be him, or like somebody else wrote it. Those parts didn't feel as authentic to me, and kind of pulled away from the strong points that I know he had. Like his story and his testimonies of life is like amazing, but somebody else trying to tell his story for him really kind of like pulled the rug from out under his feet to me.
Some of the highlights that stuck out to me was, one, the fact that he started from the beginning. Like he started
From the
his
bottom
story.
down.
He started from the beginning of his life story, and then literally told you how he got through the adversities that he faced. The fact that he did reach an all-time low, and how he overcame those lows to where he is now. I thought that was definitely motivational for anyone, because we've all hit those low points where it's like, it doesn't seem like anything's going right. I don't feel like you start to doubt what your purpose and your calling is, and it's like, maybe this isn't what God called me to do. Maybe I should give up. Maybe I should turn back. Maybe I should try plan B if there is a plan B. And just to see that he got to that point and was like, no, like I've already jumped. There's no looking back. Right. Like it's a difference between saying I'm walking and then I have the opportunity to walk back. But when you jump, you can't take away like your jump. Like you're free falling until you open up your parachute, which he talks about. It's like there's no turning back. So what do you do in that instance? How do you open your parachute? How do you save yourself? Low lights? Okay. How do I put this nicely? So there were certain points of this book that discussed a lot of other books, to the point where it almost felt like, why didn't I just read the other books? Steve Harvey's story was dope. I honestly felt like without the other book references, he would have been smooth. It was a lot of excerpts from other books where it was just like, I'd rather just go ahead and pick that book up. We were all like almost contemplating picking up these other books just to see what he was talking about. Right. You'll see. If you read it, if you read it,
just pick the book up.
You'll see what I'm talking about.
Right. My takeaways are honestly just to jump, to not be afraid. Not afraid.
Don't be afraid.
My takeaways are to jump, like to not be afraid of what you're called to do. If you never take that jump, you'll be 60, 70 looking back saying woulda, coulda, shoulda, and that's the worst thing. You would rather jump and fail than to have the regret of what if.
Not even trying.
What if I came out with that CD, or what if I wrote that play, or what if I wrote that book, or what if I dated that person? It's not just jumping for like a goal or for a dream. It's literally jumping, honestly, to save your life. Jump to what God has called you to do, to jump to pursue that passion, that purpose, to go back to school, to get in the greatest shape of your life, whatever it is. It's just not being afraid to do it and eliminating all of the excuses around doing it. Just because you jump, sometimes people think, oh, I wrote that book, I started that business, or I released that album. Now it's just right to the moon. There still could be bumps and stuff along the way. You need to open that parachute and then go up and then soar up. And then until that happens, dealing with some of the adversity really is just a test of your character, and a test of your faith, and a test of your resolve to see how bad you really want what you say you want.
You just put like 3 books in one.
What are your takeaways, Queen?
The one takeaway that really stood out to me was there's a point in the book where he discusses how it would feel if you don't jump and what you're restricting yourself from.
Yeah.
How you're pretty much stopping yourself if you don't jump.
Right.
Honestly, when you think about it, think of how many people that you cross on a day-to-day basis that are living these 9-to-5 jobs or living with these careers that they don't necessarily love
Or that they
hate. You're just waking up every day miserable, going to this job, working for this person or this company or this business that you can't even fully invest yourself in because your heart's not in it. Then depending upon how old they are, them saying, well, this is what I really wanted to do, but this is what I'm doing now because I'm married, I have to provide, because I have a family now that I have to take care of, because now I have kids that need to get fed, these bills need to get paid. It's almost like they feel like their passion and their purpose is now squandered because life has moved and passed them by, but that's not necessarily true. If God is giving you a purpose,
jump.
Go ahead and jump. Like, if you give your 120% into the reason why you're in this life in the first place, then it's bound to have success behind it. Your heart is going to be in it.
Yep.
And when your heart's in it, you're giving it your all.
Yeah.
Go ahead and jump.
Let's get into these ratings.
Let's do the rating.
See what you thought about this. Alright. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Oh!
Woo!
Oh!
You put Burley?
You put Lucked Up. Who made you like this?
What's the reason you got Burley for?
Because we barely got through the book.
I didn't feel like we barely got through it.
This was the book where we were like walking around the house like, we really barely got through this one. Barely doesn't mean it's a bad book, so you should definitely pick it up. I'm saying that we barely got through it because at certain points it dragged and it kind of got like really, really repetitive. Amazing message.
Okay.
So don't take barely and say I don't want to read it. Still read it because maybe you'll get something out of it that I didn't, or maybe you'll have like a passion for it that I didn't have at certain points during the book. I'm definitely saying barely because some of the low points were really, really low and really rough, and it kind of dragged a little bit. But then when it picked up, it shot up. That's why I said barely.
Okay. I said Lucked Up, and it's funny because when we first started this video, I was honestly ready to give it something lower, but then talking about it and discussing it just sparked a Lucked Up for me. Even though it had a lot of slow parts, the high parts were like straight into the point, and it was just like smacking your, well, that was really like a punch, but
that was a punch.
Smacking your face.
Your smacks are punches, so I should duck.
So that's the reason why I gave it a Lucked Up. Even though a lot of things were repetitive in there, it was something that he really wanted you to get. I'm gonna say this
Facts.
10 times in this book, in each chapter, because you need to jump.
Okay.
And a lot of times people don't want to jump. If you've ever done bungee jumping or flying out of a plane, they don't even give you the count of 3. Yeah. I've never done it. That's on the bucket list. But
on the way though.
They don't even give you a count of 3 because it's like you're not going to do it. You're literally going to stop yourself. You're going to cripple yourself from jumping.
Right.
So I felt like that's the reason why he was so repetitive on saying, go ahead and jump. Take the chance. Take the opportunity. Don't be scared.
Right.
Do what you need to do.
Right.
So that's why I gave it a Lucked Up.
I thought you were gonna be at a barely
I was
or basic cable.
I was.
I promise you, I thought that was coming.
Now that we've wrapped it up,
Boom.
We've tied a bow on it, sent it out, shipped it, delivered. Did you get it? Gave y'all the takeaways, highlights, lowlights, what resonated, what stuck out to us, the rating system. We gave y'all what we could, and now it's time for y'all to take it away. So next up,
we haven't picked the next book yet.
let's pick it in front of the people. Let's see what y'all got.
Random. This one
The next book that we're going to discuss is Unqualified.
by the homie
written by Kyle's
My
mentor.
guy. My guy. What up, bro? I'm gonna come down to North Carolina and check you out. I'm gonna bring her too, I promise.
If you go to North Carolina, I'm going because my bros live down there. Keep watch, stay tuned. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you thought about Jump. If you've read Unqualified, let us know what you thought about that. Let us know what you thought about Stephen Furtick, because homeboy over here,
Stephen Furtick is dope.
Loves
Stephen
so Furtick.
It's gonna be really good to get into that book. Make sure you're commenting below, and make sure you watch the last. Wow, we're on 4 now.
Whoop.
Next episode, tune in. We're going to be doing Unqualified by Stephen Furtick. Until then, we love y'all. Peace.